Hi, my name is Connor Hedrick. I am from Dallas, Texas, and I am majoring in small business management and entrepreneurship. The piece of art that I will be discussing today is located in the interesting small town of Eureka Springs, Arkansas. It is right in the heart of the city in the Basin Spring Park. The piece I am discussing is the Doughboy Monument, which sits atop a stone pedestal with fountains on both sides. This piece was furnished by a company called Eureka Springs Monumental Works, which was ran by N.L. Burkhart back in the 1890s. This piece was erected as a memorial for World War I veterans and also later dedicated to the United Spanish War veterans. World War I memorials were erected and dedicated all over Arkansas. From Little Rock to Conway and even to Fayetteville, these memorials could be found all over the place. Although there were all kinds of memorials, sculpture was by far the medium preferred for World War I memorials in Arkansas. Fundraising for the Marble Doughboy in Basin Park began in 1919, but it was not until December 1928 that the contract was given to Eureka Springs Monumental Works. The statue was then erected sometime in 1929 in Basin Spring Park. At some point or another, the nose actually fell off of the statue, but this was later fixed. The statue still remains a center point of the Basin Spring Park today. The Doughboy Monument is composed of marble and rests upon a large stone pedestal. While this piece is not symmetrical, it still achieves asymmetrical balance. There is an equilibrium between both sides that make this statue achieve this balance, even though both sides are not mirror images. When arriving to the park, you notice the verticality of the statue from the get-go. It is larger in scale than a normal person to begin with, but the added stone pedestal emphasizes the verticality of the statue. This verticality is also added to by the way the gun is being held. Rather than being in a running motion or an action pose like other Doughboy statues of the time, this one is standing straight. All of these vertical lines of the piece create a sense of attention. The face of the Doughboy has a very solemn look, which is created through the use of lines in the face. The lines make the face appear to be in a very serious tone. The texture of the Doughboy is very matte and cold and smooth on parts where the skin is revealed. This again makes the figure look serious, attentive, and somewhat solemn. The texture of the clothes is very realistic, and they appear to drape down and hang like what would happen on a real soldier. The broad, high soldiers once again represent the verticality of the piece and show how the soldier is masculine and attentive. This piece was made with many others like it to show pride in the people who have fought for our country. This is obvious in all elements of the piece. First off, we have the placement of the piece. It is the centerpiece to the entire park. Not only is it the center of the park, but the park is right in the middle of town, and it is really the center point for the community. The monument stands as a permanent marker of patriotism and a commemoration to a community's sense of loss. The statue is in a resting state with its gun held down, which can also show that the war is over and the soldiers are at rest. It represents that the fight is over, but the community will not forget its fallen heroes. World War I monuments commemorated the events that took place during the war as well as the casualties. It was really a brand new social phenomenon that portrayed a major cultural shift in how societies commemorated conflicts. This movement of World War I stands alone from other movements. Although many of the memorials produced at this time took on aesthetics from other movements in art history, the reason for the erections of these statues was a major shift. At the beginning of World War I, there were no traditions of commemorating mass casualties in a nationalistic sense, but a major shift occurred. World War I saw mass casualties, and it made it very tough for post-war communities to deal with so much loss. This led World War I monument designers to produce memorials that were noble, uplifting, and inevitably tragic. Although the Doughboy is not necessarily tragic to someone that was born after the World War I era, people from that time felt the true tragedy of these pieces. This piece was commemorating people within the communities that had sacrificed their lives for the greater good. This movement changed the way societies commemorate mass casualties and can still be seen today when tragedy strikes. I presented this statue because I recently visited Eureka Springs for the first time and I absolutely loved it. After researching more about the Doughboy Memorial, I realized that this was a very recent movement of sculpture in the scope of history. This piece is a part of that movement, and I find great value in knowing that this piece is really a part of. Even though I did not live in the era, I can feel the importance that this piece might have had in people's lives of the past. This piece was no longer just a statue of a soldier to me, but was a commemoration of my nation's ancestors that fought so I could be here today.